It's kind of fun. I always like to make a big mess here, so we'll do that. Fall, this kind of gets two different fall ideas. We've talked a lot about mums, pumpkins, we did the aster, but there's a few other plants that are good this time of year, and one of them you should be planting is fall bulbs. And a lot of times people don't think about it until they see it blooming in the spring, and it's too late. Those are your tulips, daffodils, things like that. Well, I wanted to find something to do with my pot that I'd had flowers in all year, so pulled the old stuff out, took a bunch of the soil off, loosened the soil that's left up down in there. But what I'm going to do with this big pot is I've got some bulbs, and one thing a lot of people don't realize about bulbs, they have early blooming, mid-season blooming, and late season blooming. So I'm not one that likes to do the big rows of tulips or whatever. I like a big, almost like bouquet on either side of the sidewalk. So I just dig a single hole, and it might be that big, 6-8 inches deep. But I'll use bulbs of all different kinds, but then I try to get some that are early blooming, mid-blooming, late blooming. Because I know one of my sets of tulips is going to be on the 70-mile-an-hour wind day, and all the petals go away. But if you have some that bloom early, mid, late, maybe some daffodils, other ones all in that big bouquet, you can actually have bulbs blooming for 4 or 5 weeks that way. And then when they're done, you can take all the old flower stalks out, but they'll die off and be back. Well, for this big pot, I'm going to do the same idea. Now I'm going to start with some daffodils, and the daffodils were mid-season guys, and so it's a nice bright yellow trumpet flowers to them. And so I just kind of arrange those in there. Most of the varieties have a little tag. This one's a double one, and it's probably a good one to be thinking of late winter, early spring when the daffodils come up. Its name is Tahiti, so I don't know how the winter flower got named Tahiti, but it did. And then I'm going to go with these red tulips, and they're an early season tulip. And almost all the bulbs, we always want the nose up. Sometimes you can see the root, but if you can't, you want nose up. And so I'm just going to randomly arrange those around in here. I don't know, I got probably 6 or 8 of them in here. And so I'm just kind of making a layer across the bottom. And then I have Big Smile, which is a late yellow tulip. And I like getting the tulips out of the bin where you can pick the individual varieties and colors. The mixes are a good deal, but when you can pick through them, you can get some really nice big tulips and get the different times and blooming periods you want. But I'm just going to sprinkle those through there as well. So now I'm going to have red and yellow tulips and the daffodils that come up through there. Those are all going to be in the spring. But I don't really want to forget about my pot this time of year also. So I'm going to talk last about one of the other fall plants, and that's pansies. And I think they get kind of underused in Kansas. If you plant pansies in a big pot or in the ground, they're going to bloom all this fall. You'll have some blooms through the winter. And then early in the spring, before it's able to get out and plant new stuff, the pansies will usually still be blooming and doing really well until it gets hot. So that pot, I told you I cleaned out about 6 inches or so. I'm going to fill it up with some soil on top to get it about level. And I'm going to plant the top with pansies. So we have color now for the season. And then we'll have our bulbs to surprise us later on. And I'm kind of traditional, so I went with the yellow pansy that has the face, it's called, on them. Some of them are smooth, some of them have the face. And I'm just going to go through and plant some yellow pansies through the top of that. And I'll probably just do a few of them right now, fill it in afterwards, but just enough so you get the idea. And pansies, any color almost that you can imagine in those bright colors, blues, purples, reds, whites. I get a lot of K-State fans that like the white one that has the purple face on it instead of the dark face. So, you know, something for all of that, but just their bloom time and how long they bloom, and their ability to tolerate the cold weather just makes them a great plant that I don't think we always take advantage as much of. A lot of people, I think, they go flower planting time's kind of about done. It's about fall, but you know, they have these guys, and I've had years where there's even been a little bit of snow on them, and you go out there on that warm, sunny day, and there's pansy bloom peeking up at you. So it's kind of a nice plant for winter time to remind us that spring is coming. But then I just kind of level that soil off. Depending on what I had else going with my other plants, I could either fertilize them with a water soluble like the Stutzman's type, or I could use a granular slow release just to put on the surface to feed them all season. But that gives you another idea, and then spring comes up and your pot's up with its next thing. And by the time all of that's finished, well, it's probably time to plant your new pot for spring and summer. So kind of some ways to keep using some of that a little bit outside of the regular time.
Some know us as Stutz, some know us as Stutz, but everyone knows we know our roots. At Stutzman's Greenhouse, everything's green.